Chapter 1. November 9th, 1938. Terrified, Inga held on tightly to her mother, Berta. The living room enveloped them in darkness, concealing them from the chaos that was happening on the streets below their apartment in Stuttgart, Germany. The silence of the normally peaceful neighborhood had been shattered by the horrifying sounds of an angry mob, yelling and screaming as they snaked their way down the street, smashing windows and demolishing Jewish-owned businesses. At first, the women couldn't distinguish what was being said, but as the men got closer, their words became chillingly clear. "Get out, Jews! All Jews out!" was chanted over and over as the mob obliterated everything in their path. Tears streamed down Inga's cheeks as she closed her eyes and silently prayed that her father was safe, that he was far from the violent tempest of racism and hatred. 14-year-old Inga had lived her whole life in this apartment. Her parents, Jakob and Berta Klein, had moved into it after they were married, shortly before she was born. Although the apartment was elegantly furnished and decorated with beautiful paintings and the finest oriental carpets, it was the ever-present feeling of love that had distinguished it from all the other apartments in the building. Inga had spent the most wonderful moments of her life in this apartment that was now her haven, her shelter, her protection from what was undoubtedly the worst moment of her life. But where was her father? Why wasn't he here, giving her a sense of security? The Klein family had been very apprehensive when the Nazis started gaining power. Several of their friends had encouraged them to leave Germany, to start over in England or America. Neither Jakob nor Berta would hear of it. Both of their families had been in Germany for centuries, and they weren't going to be chased out by some minor political party. Before they knew it, though, that minor political party had become the ruling party. When the Nazis passed anti-Semitic laws and instituted policies that were blatantly racist against the Jews, the Kleins held on to their belief that the German people would be smart enough to see through the Nazis' propaganda and bristle against such cruel and inhumane policies. They were certain the Germans would rise up against such tyranny and overthrow Hitler and his Nazi party. Unfortunately, the vicious attacks that were happening on the streets throughout Germany and Austria this evening were proof that they were clinging to a disappointingly false belief. Berta hoped her daughter wouldn't see how terrified she really was. She prayed the mob would pass without attacking their third-floor apartment, that she and Inga would be safe. She was extremely worried about her husband, but didn't want Inga to feel her angst. Her thoughts were abruptly interrupted by a series of loud knocks on the door that caused her blood to run cold. "Inga, don't make a sound. They won't know we're in here, and they'll go away," Berta whispered as she covered her daughter's mouth. Trembling, the women sat mutely, waiting for the person at the door to leave, but the knocking continued. "Inga, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, are you okay? It's me, Fritz. I'm really worried about you. Please open the door." Berta looked at her daughter and nodded. "Go ahead and let him in." "When I heard there were going to be problems for the Jews tonight, I raced home to warn you. But obviously, things started earlier than I thought they would. Are you okay?" "Where's Mr. Klein?" Fritz asked, genuinely concerned for his neighbors. "My father's still at work. He hasn't come home yet. We're really worried about him.